You never meant to do anything wrong. Billy, lose my number, 'cause you're not anywhere. All right, you know how it works. I got simple rules in life. If Phil Collins is playing, I'm not going to talk over it. You got to let that breathe a little bit. Number. He played this at the concert I went to a few years ago down in Phoenix. And Phil Collins, badass. Hey, what's going on, my friends? I'm in search of copious amounts of caffeine. Props to the Oregon State women who just topped U of P in the WCC final, and now with a record of 19-15, will get the automatic berth into the NCAA tournament. That's pretty cool. And their coach, Scott Rueck's a good dude. So very happy for the Beavs as they journey now to the NCAA tournament. Very cool. Very, very cool. They upset Gonzaga, and now they're on their way to the big dance. You'd like to see that kind of stuff. We got a big show today. How about Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio? Bino! He's going to come up in 20 minutes, and we'll talk NFL free agency with Bino. I got to get his take on a variety of different things, including Sam Darnold, who's now the starting quarterback for the Seattle Seahawks. Geno Smith is with the Raiders. And we got a lot of stuff going down. The 49ers are losing all of their good players. They missed their window, and now they got to pay Brock Purdy a bunch of money. Good luck with that, my friends. Good luck. So Brian Noe coming up in 20 minutes at 4:20 today. At 4:20, we're going to talk with the captain, Rich Patterson, who just completed his 3,000th consecutive game working for the Portland Trailblazers. That's a ridiculous streak. I asked him if he can get to 4,000. He laughed at me. But the captain, Rich Patterson, longtime radio vet here in Portland and been with the franchise forever. I think he's the longest tenured Trailblazer employee. We'll talk with him at 4:20. He's a good dude, and I work with him frequently in my role with the Trailblazers. And then at 5:20, how about Brooke Olzendam going to swing by? We'll talk more with Brooke. We'll get her take on the team and where they're at as they get ready for a long homestand. And I want to get her take a snapshot on all of the young guys. Scoot, Shaden, Klingon, who was freaking badass last night, by the way. How about Donovan Klingon last night? And Denny Avdia, Tamani Kamara. I want to know what she knows about these guys and what she's learned about them through the years. So we'll talk with Brooke Olzendam at 5:20. So there you go. Brian Noe, 3:20. The captain, Rich Patterson, 4:20. 5:20 is Brooke Olzendam. And then we have Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday at 5. So I really don't know what else you need from me. I am here. I am here for you. I am a sacrifice for you. So whatever you need, I will do. All right, let's do this. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number. And you can also reach out to me on social media. You'll find me there at Chad and Rip City. What do I care? Just send me a text, too, 360-281-5473. That is my cell number. You can reach out to me directly. What else do you want? It's so personable. I just gave you my phone number. I work with all these other guys who are like, oh, don't give out my cell to anyone. Who cares about that, man? I'm an open book. Reach out to me. Let's talk. Let's have a good day, and let's get this thing rolling. I slept a long time last night. Now, I mentioned it's going to take me a couple of days to get through this time change. I'm not like those other people who complain about the time change. Look, I don't like what it does to my body at my age now, but I'm happy for the time change. It gives me something to look forward to because what it means is longer days, better weather's right around the corner, and it means copious amounts of golf. All right, that's what it means for me. So but it does take a couple of days to recuperate. So I had time change on Saturday night, Blazer game on Sunday, Blazer game on Monday, back-to-backers. And look, I don't know what it does to the players, but I know what it does to me. Those back-to-back nights and late nights are brutal. So I fell asleep later in the wee hours of the morning, but I slept. I'm not going to tell you how late I slept today, but it was embarrassing. But I feel great now. I feel rejuvenated. I feel refreshed, and I'm ready to get this thing going. So a lot of different things I want to talk about, starting with, and I'll get to Sam Darnold. I've got a very simple answer as to why the Seahawks went Sam Darnold instead of Geno Smith and why you make that change. Like usual, it's about money. But I want to talk about the Blazers real quick last night for a couple of reasons. One, the game in San Francisco against the Warriors was highly annoying. Very annoying because one of the most hated former Trailblazers in history was the meal ticket for the Warriors. And I'm talking about the loser, Gary Payton II. Not a good guy, not a good Trailblazer, and really was a disaster for the franchise. And he forced his way back to Golden State, and he dropped a team-high 26 points and led them to victory. What's even more annoying is that the guy came into the game shooting 25% from downtown. Last night, 4 of 6 from three, 11 of 16 from the field in 28 minutes of action. So screw Gary Payton II. Steph Curry was Steph Curry, 24 points. They got 20 off the bench from Buddy Hield, who was also 6 of 9 from distance. 20 points from Moses Moody, and a triple-double from Jimmy Butler, 15 points, 10 rebounds, and 10 assists. The Warriors hit 21 threes, 12 of those coming in the first half when they were up by 19. And the Blazers made a strong push in the third quarter, but they just couldn't get over the hump. And the Warriors get the victory. The bottom line for Portland, here's what you need to know about a young basketball team who is developing and learning how to play. As Coach Phillips has said throughout the year, they're not good enough to overcome mistakes. They've got to be tight in the margins, and that means they can't turn it over. They've got to value their possessions. They've got to put themselves in a position to win games. But when you cough it up and turn it over, especially of the live ball variety, and you give teams like the Warriors easy buckets, you're done. And that's exactly what happened last night. The Warriors were +8 in fast break points, and they scored 25 points off of 19 turnovers. I mean, the Blazers played some very good basketball last night, but they can't do that on the road against a team like that in that building. You got to be tighter. And the Warriors got the win. And the Blazers now still in contention for a potential play-in berth. It's going to be tough, but last night's loss was difficult. But everything we need to know about the team and whether or not the play-in is a possibility, we'll find out over the next week and a half, because they got some stiff competition coming up, including the Knickerbockers tomorrow night at Motor Center. Now, Denny Avdia, here's the good news. He was back in the lineup last night, and he was freaking awesome. He's been dealing with that quad contusion, whatever that is, but 34 points, 16 rebounds, 6 assists. 5 of 7 from three, made 11 shots. He was on fire. I mean, he is so good at just about everything that he really is the straw that kind of stirs the Trailblazers drink. He knows where to be. He's a tough competitor on defense, very good defender, really great next to Toumani Camara. He's the one guy that really will push the pace and the tempo and use his speed to get out there and force teams to defend. And he facilitates on offense very well. He's a high IQ guy. He's usually in the right position, and he plays his ass off. There's nothing I don't love about Denny Avdia. He's been the team's best player from day one up until now. And I'm very happy for him because I like him, and he's my favorite Trailblazer. But I also thought the play of Donovan Clingan was legit. One of the benefits of where they're at right now in the season is they're getting a ton of minutes for their young guys, for the young guys to play, for the young guys to compete, and to get out there and really showcase what they can do. And more importantly, the front office is gathering info on their young players. So they got data to work with to know what they got. And last night, Donovan Clingan, a good all-around game. 15 points, 9 boards, 6 assists. And how about 4 blocks? That's a rookie center. 15 points, 9 boards, 6 assists, and 4 blocks. As a rookie in 31 minutes of action. He's getting more playing time. His conditioning's getting better. And he's just a player that knows how to win. Part of that's because of the culture he came out of at UConn. And he wants to win. He's willing to do whatever it takes to win and be the best he can for his team. So I really like his makeup, but I thought last night he was terrific. And then you got Anthony Simons, who contributed 32 points. He got hot there during a couple of stretches of the game. He was 6 of 10 from 3. But in the end, when you give up 21 threes to the Warriors and you turn it over 19 times, it's going to equal bad news. And that's what happened. But that's where the Trailblazers are at. The good news is the young guys are developing. The good news is the young guys are developing. And the other good news is the young guys are developing. But I thought Denny Avdia was, gosh, the guy's so good. I love Denny. I love Toumani. And I'm a big fan of Donovan Clingan and what he brings to the squad. Scoot Henderson last night didn't shoot the ball great, but he also had some stretches there. 12 points, 4 assists off the bench. You can see it with his aggressiveness. He's picking his spots. He had a couple of nice attacks of the rim off the bounce. I just like how things are coming together for the young guys. So that's where I'm at on the Trailblazers. I don't care about the play-in. I just love seeing the guys compete, and I love seeing the guys get rewarded here in the second half of the season for their hard work. But more importantly, getting the proper data to know what you have and what these guys can do, so moving forward you can continue to reshape your team the way that it needs to be. And I got into it in a conversation last night on social, and one guy said, "Hey, the Blazers they waited too long to tank." The Blazers have not tanked this year. They didn't wait too long. They haven't even tried. They've been playing their guys, and they've been trying to win games. What the difference is this year is that you have young players who are developing and getting better, and as a result, the Blazers are a better basketball team, so they're winning more games. They've exceeded expectation. But for all of the fans out there who don't like the unsavory nature of tanking or doing whatever is necessary to improve your draft stock, well, the Blazers have met your demands this year. They're not tanking. They're trying to win games. And their young guys have helped them exceed expectations this year. And that's a beautiful thing, especially when you see Denny Avdia and Donovan Clingan going off, and Scoot Henderson getting better, and Shaden Sharp showing flashes, and Tamani Kamara becoming one of the, if not the best on-ball defender in the NBA. A lot of things to celebrate there with the Trailblazers in terms of where they're at with development. So there you have it. All right, it's time to talk NFL free agency. The Denver Broncos, and props to my squad, adding 2 jackhammers in their lineup from the 49ers. In their safety, Hufanga, or however you pronounce his name, and Dre Greenlaw, the linebacker. If healthy, those 2 guys are badasses, and they're jackhammers. So you take a great defense, you make it even better. So we'll dive into the quarterbacks. We'll talk free agency. Bino! Fox Sports Radio is coming up next. And then the Captain Rich Patterson at 4:20, and then Brooke Olsendam swinging by and hanging out at 5:20. I'm Chad Doing, and this is the Rip City Drive. I do appreciate your time on this Tuesday. You can hit me up on social at Chad and Rip City. 503-248-0620 is your telephone number, and we have Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. Ticket Tuesday, your chance to win tickets for the Trailblazers coming up at 5. All right, I am here to proclaim my love for Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio. The more I get to know him, the more I feel like we're brothers. He loves to work. I love to work. He loves radio. I love radio, and we both love ball. And he's back to talk with us. Brian. I couldn't believe it. I just saw that Tiger Woods revealed that he had a ruptured Achilles. Like, I thought Mark Schlereth was going to go down as the athlete with the most surgeries, but a freaking Achilles for Tiger. Every time the news comes out on Tiger, I'm like, no, not again. Gosh, it's brutal.
Man, I know it. Chad Doing, always good to be with you, man.
My brother.
It is. Dude, it's one of these deals where, Tiger's not in his 20s or 30s anymore.
No.
And so a setback like this, man, he seems like a golf lifer, but man, that's a major, major injury at his age and the rehab that it requires. So I hope he can come back, man, but it's just another hit against him as he's trying to, just his mother just passed away, and he was just saying that he wasn't practicing as much because he was just processing everything, and so he's ramping up toward the majors, and now this happened. So that just sucks, man.
No, it sucks because I hate it when we get robbed of seeing the greats at their best. Like Barry Sanders retired early in his prime, and we didn't get to see him run again. Tiger Woods is one of the greatest athletes of our time. We don't get to see him at his best anymore. I just love and appreciate watching greatness, and then when it's gone, you're like, dang, I want more of that.
I know. It's weird because my mind goes to basketball when you say that. And I just thought about the Warriors when they added KD to a 73-win team, and you didn't get to see Steph at his best. You know what I mean? Like, there were only so many shots and only one basketball to go around. And now that you see a different version of the Warriors, you're seeing Steph cook and you're seeing Steph at his best. So it's kind of funny. You get my mind thinking about super teams and how you might see the team accomplish great things, but you don't see the individual greatness as much. It's like you've got the governor on the semi that can only go so fast when some of those super teams happen. So happens in team sports also.
Yeah, here's what I've learned about basketball over the last couple of years. When these big moves go down, what I've learned is great basketball players, if they are great at the game, they'll learn how to play with one another. We're seeing that with Luka and LeBron. They have fit pretty well so far with the Lakers. When Kyrie went to Dallas, a lot of people didn't think it would work, but Kyrie and Luka figured it out. And now Jimmy Butler, the supposed misfit, he has fit in nicely with the Warriors. And I'll tell you what's great about the playoffs this year with Luka in L.A. and now Jimmy Butler in Golden State. We're going to have some intriguing matchups where we could get like Golden State and Denver or Oklahoma City and L.A. or whatever the matchups are in the Western Conference, man. I'm all in. I want to watch that.
Yeah, me too. The NBA playoffs should be really, really interesting, especially in the West. You look at some of these teams in the West and you're like, the Suns should be pretty good. They're barely in the play-in. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy where you start looking at the depth that the conference has, and it's real in the West, but the playoffs should be a ton of fun.
No doubt. We're talking with Bino, Fox Sports Radio. All right. Oh, by the way, my friend, forgive me for not saying this, but a happy new league year to you with the start of free agency.
Oh, dude, it's official tomorrow. It's like our football version of New Year's Eve, so I'll have my party hat on. I'll have the confetti working and everything.
Yeah.
Balloons, streamers, the whole thing. You got to celebrate the new league year.
Yeah, I know it means a lot to you. It's an awesome time of the year. All right, the Seattle Seahawks went out and made a big move. They dealt Geno Smith to the Raiders, and then they went out and signed Sam Darnold. I like the move because I think Sam Darnold's got a chance to be good with that offense. But to me, I think this probably just comes down to money because you get similar play between Geno and Sam Darnold, but they knew that they weren't going to have to pay as much guaranteed dollars to Darnold like they would have been Geno. So what's your take on this move here?
I don't know. I'm not huge on it, Chad. I get that Darnold is younger than Geno, but to me, it's pretty similar to like the Spider-Man meme, like pointing at himself. That I just don't see a whole lot of separation between Geno and Sam Darnold, production-wise, talent-wise. I mean, you're putting Sam Darnold on a team where you don't have DK Metcalf anymore. So you're thinking about Geno last year with 21 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, nothing to write home about, with some very capable wide receivers to throw to. And now you put Sam Darnold on that squad. He doesn't have Justin Jefferson and Hawkinson and Jordan Addison and, a good running game and you don't have that. So you put Sam over there with a suspect offensive line. He doesn't handle pressure well. Like, I don't love it. I don't love it. So yeah, they get a younger version of Geno, but at the end of the day, a younger Geno is getting you where exactly? Nowhere. So I'm not a big fan of the move at all. I think you're just spinning your tires right there.
Yeah, for the Raiders, I understand what they're doing there. You know, you bring in Pete Carroll, you got Tom Brady helping you make decisions now. At least with Geno and Pete Carroll, they know each other. I feel like the Raiders, I don't know how many games they're going to win next year, but I feel like they're just trying to get back to a level of respectability, meaning we may not be where we want to be right now, but at least we're going to be respectable and have competent leadership.
Yeah, and there's something to be said for that. There's definitely a middle ground between sucking and being awesome, you know, and you're not going to go from 0 to 100 miles per hour normally in one off season. It typically doesn't happen. The Commanders did their best impression going from 4-13 to the NFC title game. That was an amazing turnaround. But you typically don't see that in the NFL to that extent. It's building blocks, right? So, yeah, I think that it helps the Raiders get better. It's not going to get them anywhere, right? Because they're just not talented enough in that division and that conference. We're just talking about the Western Conference in the NBA. Look at the AFC in the NFL. Like, good luck if you're the Raiders. You know, like, you're looking at Mahomes and Herbert and Bo Nix. Like, Bo Nix is better than Geno Smith, I feel like, right now. I mean, you could have a tail of the tape, but there's no doubt Mahomes is better, Herbert is better. So you're at best the third best quarterback in that division. I would argue you're fourth best. And so, like, the roster is one of the worst. They're going nowhere. So, yeah, congratulations. You might win 6 or 7 games. That's great. And there is something to be said for you're better, but not anywhere near good. I just think this is like the MLS, Chad. Like Major League Soccer used to do this all the time. Like, our ratings are 15% better than last year. And it's like, oh, yeah, like your ratings were in the toilet last year, and now they're a little bit better. That's where I think the Raiders are. They were in the toilet last year, and now they're a little bit better, but they're going nowhere fast.
No question. Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio here on the Rip City Drive. I like what a couple of teams did. Number one, the Commanders, they're in that great little window now with a superb young quarterback on a rookie deal. They go out and they get Deebo Samuel, and they beef up their offensive line. They're in a nice spot now where they can kind of, tinker with the lineup to make sure that Daniels has got the best around him. What do you think about those two moves?
Yeah, man, Washington, they were the surprise team last season, and Jaden Daniels was just special. So you start building more around him. I love them getting Laramie Tunsil. So you get a legit left tackle to protect his blind side. And, Deebo, look, I'm curious which version you're going to get from Deebo Samuel. I've called him for years, Chad. He's a bowling ball with agility.
Yes.
Like, he's such a physical player, right? So I think he's got a couple more good years in him. He doesn't have a style that translates well to old. But if he can give you peak production where he is at this stage of his career the next couple of years, alongside Jaden Daniels and opposite Terry McLaurin, yeah, it could be pretty good. So I just don't know if this is the 2021 version of Deebo or the 2024 version, what we saw last season where Ayuk gets hurt and you're like, okay, it's time to cook with Deebo. Not so much. He's dropping passes left and right. He's nicked up. It's like Jawan Jennings and George Kittle are getting the bulk of the targets and the production. And Deebo was lost in the shuffle, right? So I'm just curious if Deebo regains some of that studly form that we're used to seeing, or is this the version we're getting from Deebo going forward? That's an honest question. So if he's somewhere in the middle of those two, it's still an all right pickup for Washington. I just don't know if this really kicks them into overdrive. Because if this is just like slightly better than okay Deebo, it's a nice move, but nothing earth-shattering.
Brian, last year Caleb Williams got the crap beat out of him, and I want him to do well because I want good quarterbacks in the NFL. I don't know what type of coach Ben Johnson's going to be in that head position, but they wasted little time, man. They've done a good job of going out and getting active to rebuild that offensive line. If those pieces fit together, Caleb Williams could be in a much better spot in year 2 under Ben Johnson with that reworked offensive line. What do you think about their efforts?
Yeah, I like what they've done. Joe Thuney is legit.
Stud.
He's all pro last 2 years, and they tried to beef up the rest of that interior line. They've done enough, I feel like, offensively, Chad, where there are no more excuses for Caleb Williams. It's like, okay, that was your rookie season. There was a lack of talent. The offensive line's a little iffy, but now it's go time. We got Ben Johnson here. This guy's basically the quarterback whisperer, great play caller. And you've got enough talent-wise around you where we got to see an uptick, a notable uptick in production. And I think he's got the talent. I think that he's capable of doing it. It's just the excuses are over, man. It's go time for him. So it's a big, big year for him. I thought it was goofy that they kept around Eberflus last season as a lame duck head coach.
Very goofy. It was
but
ridiculous.
It might work out. Yeah, you get Ben Johnson, and, hey, maybe he's going to be a good head coach, and maybe it's going to work out better for you in the long run. But that was a weird way to do it. But we'll see, man. A lot of people are high on Ben Johnson. He pretty much could have named whichever team he wanted to go to as far as the openings there. He chose the Bears, and they've made a couple of nice moves free agency-wise. So we'll just see if Caleb can look more like Jaden Daniels, the Bears could go somewhere. It's just he's got to get to that level.
Boy, I'm not going to lie. I really enjoyed seeing what the Broncos did yesterday. If healthy, when they added Hufanga and Dre Greenlaw from the 49ers, you got two jackhammers to put on one of the best defenses in the NFL. And those guys, they're the type of dudes that want to put you in the blue tent. So I'm excited about what Denver did with those two guys added to the defense.
Yeah, man, you got to love that. You got to love hitters, but it does worry me a bit, Chad. I don't want to rain on the parade over here, but do you get a little bit of like Bob Sanders vibes?
Yeah,
remember
a little
him?
bit. Yes, he was a stud.
Oh, his body. He was so fun to watch, but you'd feel like, Bob, dude, it's week 3, man. There's no way his body's going to be able to hold up for an entire season. I loved watching him play, but he was reckless. You know what I mean? And so sometimes that would, I'll put it this way. Justin Simmons was a great blend of, he was physical, but he was smart, right? He's kind of like Hunter Smith with Harrison Smith with the Vikings, where those guys are physical safeties, but they're not going all out to the point where you're like, okay, this is the Bob Sanders template. This is not going to last. So I think that's the thing with Hufanga, who he can throw his body around, Chad, but you got to see him on the field, man. You can't help the club from the tub. And I'm hoping that he can have a better approach and more luck with his health, because if he's banged up for extensive periods of time, that just doesn't help you. I like those pickups, but the health is the big question. And I hope they'll be blessed with it, and I hope they can do their part to put them in a position where they can be healthier.
I really hate to point out where you and I were right, but with the 49ers, they're losing all their good players, and now they're in a position where they got to pay Brock Purdy. They missed their window of opportunity when they blew the Super Bowl against the Chiefs, and now it looks like a tough road ahead for those guys, man. Brutal.
Yeah, they've lost a lot, Chad. You just start looking at it, and it's like, okay, Debo, Juszczyk, Shavarius Ward, okay, you're losing a lineman, you're losing a linebacker and a safety. It's like, holy cow, we've lost. There's a lot of talent walking out the door, and they were 6-11 last year, So that's the thing, man. We've said this all along. Brock Purdy is good. We've never said that he's bad or that he sucks or he can't play. We've said he's good. He's just not a difference maker. And that's what you're going to see when he's getting paid big money and you've got to skimp at multiple places and positions on that roster. He's not good enough to compensate for that. And you got a big taste of that last year with all the injuries. Well, now that he's going to be making a boatload of money, you're going to see a comparable roster going forward. So it's not to hate on him unnecessarily. It's just, hey, man, sorry. We can't bust out the pom-poms and the kazoos and be like, oh, man, Purdy's awesome. Like, we know what we see. He's good. He's just not a difference maker. And I think that's what you're going to see with the Niners going forward when they have to skimp at other positions on that roster. You can't pay him that much money. You can't pay any quarterback that much money if the production doesn't match it. And that's how you get screwed, man.
Man, how about Daniel Jones getting $14 million for a single year to play with the Colts? You and I, we chose the wrong career path. We should have become bum quarterbacks to become backups in the NFL. $14 million for Jones? You effing kidding me? Jeez.
Man, you don't need a better indication of like, yeah, this Anthony Richardson thing not exactly working out, right? Like,
Jeez.
do you need a better indicator than this? Daniel Jones gets 14 mil. Yeah, man, it's just Anthony Richardson didn't play enough in college. He started like 12 games, something like that. He didn't even throw 400 passes in college, Chad. You start looking around the league at some of these quarterbacks and just do a little, hey, how many passes did Josh Allen throw at Wyoming? Oh, wow, like double Anthony Richardson. Hey, how many passes did so-and-so throw? Wow, over 1,000, right? Like, it matters. And so he was banged up his rookie year, and he didn't play much in college. So he's years behind in his development. So you're going into year 3 like, bro, this is go time. And they're already looking at it like, yeah, this isn't working out. We got to sign Daniel Jones because of where we're at. You can't have a completion percentage in the toilet. And that's where he's at, dude. We clown Tebow all the time. And it's like Anthony Richardson's completion percentage is Tebow-esque. He completed 47% of his passes last year, Chad. 47% in 11 starts. It's like, dude, that's not even close to good enough. And that's why they signed Daniel Jones to a ridiculous deal.
Boy, I'll never forget. I hate Josh McDaniels for a variety of reasons, but how about him drafting Tebow in the first round? How classic is that? Jeez.
Yeah, wow, man. Blast from the past right there, But that's the thing. If you look at Anthony Richardson, he's built like a Greek god. He can produce some great highlights. He's just not anywhere close to consistent enough to even being a viable starting quarterback. That's just where they are. And, hey, man, I get it. They took a swing. They're like, we got to just try to get a guy in the top 5, and hopefully this hits. And, man, 2 years in, it has not, and I don't see it hitting with Anthony Richardson.
Well, you're right about his physique. If I had Anthony Richardson's physique, I would walk around naked all day long, every day. I would want everyone to know what I got. I'm like, yeah, this is me. Sorry if it's offensive, but I look too good to cover it up, man. Sorry.
I know it, right? It'd be like, Chad, we're finding you for the 900th time. You can't just show up to the facility naked,
You
dude.
can't
What
do
are you
it.
doing? Hey, look at my body.
Yeah.
All right, this is happening right here. I hear you.
Yeah, no. One final question. What celebrity crush did you have when you were younger? Like, I saw a picture of Selma Hayek on social last night, and then I was like, dang. And then I looked her up, and she's like 56 or 58 years old, and I was like, oh my goodness. God bless you, Selma. Like, who was your celebrity crush when you were younger?
Man, I can't remember. Selma was fantastic. She had to be in the mix right there. But I don't know if there was just one above the rest. Pam Anderson for a while was like, wow.
Oh, yeah.
So but I don't know. I really can't remember if there was anyone other than those two. There probably was, but I can't remember off the top of my head. Was that it for you? Was it Selma?
She was definitely one of them. Pam Anderson, I think, entered the minds of all young boys back in the day because of Baywatch.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good place to start. Yeah, I got no problems with that.
That's a solid 1-2 combo right there, Chad,
Yeah, I didn't understand it when I was young, but now that I'm older, I think I get why my dad was down with Charlie's Angels. Like you learn things as you get older. You're like, oh, that's why I like that show.
You're like, man, the plot sucks. What is this show? What's going on here? Oh, I get it. It's really not about that at all. I see what's going on.
I know what's going on. All right, brother. Hey, I miss you, man. It's great to talk with you. Happy new league year tomorrow, and enjoy the ball, my friend. You're the best.
Hey, man, always good hanging out with you, Chad. And, yes, happy new league year to you, everybody else in the 5-0 tree, and hope you have a great evening. Always good talking ball with you, man. You got to love free agency. We got news all over the place.
I love it, man. And, by the way, Shacker loves you. He loves it when you come on. He's a big fan.
Shaq Diesel is my guy. We got metal, we got sports in common. How can we not get along?
All right, brother. Go figure out how to become a backup quarterback and make 14 mil like Daniel Jones. All right? Get on that.
I know, I will. Yeah, Brady played till his mid-40s. We're almost 50, but if we can throw out patterns, we're good for at least $6 million a year, right?
You got it, man. All right, Bino, Fox Sports Radio. We'll talk soon, Bino.
All right, man. I'll see you, Chad.
There you go. Brian Noe, Fox Sports Radio. And we'll talk with the captain, Rich Patterson, coming up at 4:20. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday at 5 and Brooke Olzendam at 5:20. I hadn't thought of this, but Duke, the UPS man, he said, UPS man love the time change. Less packages we have to deliver in the dark. Heck yes. So, yeah, that's good. Yeah, I love the time change. Michael Shacker is always trying to deliver bad news to me during the break. He's like, hey, there's an article on KGW that says nonstop rain between now and mid April. And I really don't want to know that, but that doesn't surprise me. But that's fine because I'm going to be grinding doing Trailblazer games up until mid April. And then let me check the calendar. I think it's April 14th is the official day for me. Let's take a quick look at the calendar. Trailblazers' final game is on the 13th. And Monday's the 14th. So Monday, April 14th is the official start day of my golf season. Trailblazer season's over. My freedom has returned, and I'll be playing golf. So hopefully by April 14th, the rain will subside, and then it will provide great mornings. But I do really like this time of year. I like the longer days. I like more daylight. I like more sunshine. I like better weather. I've talked about this before. As I've gotten older and you start to travel around and you see how other people live in different parts of the country, I don't need nonstop rain all the time. It's just not my thing. I like the beauty of the Northwest, but the rain and the clouds and stuff like that, it gets tired. And I know a lot of people are very protective of the Northwest and the Portland area, so they don't like anyone to crack on it. But let's just be real. We can love the Northwest and complain about the weather, the constant gray. What's wrong with that? Blue skies are better. Sunshine's better. Warmer temperatures are better. And I've got this stupid elbow. It's funny when you're younger, you'll do dumb things or you'll try things that maybe you shouldn't try, but you don't understand at the time how it comes back to bite you. So I was out at Lacamas Lake out there in Camas with my workout partner, Luke. And, over the years, we've always been strength training partners, so we work out together. But we always dip into and find different activities to enjoy. And we were big for multiple years into mountain biking. And there's a lot of great areas to go mountain biking around here. Out there in Camas, a lot of great tracks. There's great areas over in southeast Portland. Powell Butte is awesome. So he and I would go out mountain biking all the time. Well, the one thing you learn when you're mountain biking is that when you're going down, steep hills or inclines, you got to keep your butt, you got to keep it back off the seat, and you've got to lean back to keep your weight way back. So you need your cheeks like over the back tire, because if you don't, your weight's going to go forward and you're going to flip over. And this is in the beginning days of my mountain biking, and I was going down this steep incline where you had to hit the brakes, slide, and then kind of angle your bike so you didn't go right into the water. And, it was pretty difficult terrain, a lot of roots and different things around. Well, I didn't get my butt back far enough, and I went flying head over handlebars. And, of course, I've got the toe clips in. So my feet, because my toes were in the toe clips, my weight flipped the bike around. And so I had that force of going forward, flipping, and then the weight of the bike kind of whipping my body around, and it created some more speed. And when I came down, my left elbow, it smashed right into a root on this very hard terrain. And I hammered it hard, like it was like boom, and immediately felt this incredible pain flowing through my body. Well, I went, home, and I was only 21 at the time, and I had a neighbor kind of make a makeshift sling for me. Well, I had to go into work the next morning. This is when I was over at the health experience. And so my body's throbbing with pain. So I took some Advil or whatever, but it didn't work. And so I went to the doctor. It was on a Saturday out in Sunnyside. And they did an x-ray. And sure enough, I crushed a piece of the radial head of the elbow from the stupid not getting my butt back far enough on the bike. And I asked the guys, like, well, what do I need? Surgery? What do I need to repair it? And he's like, no. He goes, that bone will grow back, the area that you smashed. And I said, well, what about the particles? He goes, don't need to worry about that. He goes, you hit it so hard that you just smashed them into like a fine, powder. So that stuff will get absorbed in the tissue. But the only problem is like every change of season, like I feel like I can tell you when a storm's coming on. I can feel the aching, like a little arthritis in that left side. And it lasts for, a few days up to a week. And then once we get in full bore into the new season, it goes away. But every change of season, so from, like spring to summer, summer to fall, fall to winter, I feel that same ache, and it sucks. I hate it. But it doesn't bother me otherwise. I have almost full range of motion now. Not quite full range, but it's close enough. And then the only time I notice it when I'm playing golf is, when you hit like a thin shot and then you get those vibrations straight up the shaft, right into your arm, into your elbow. I can feel it then. And that's about it. But other than that, it doesn't bother me. But the change of season does. So, in other words, right now, like the last few days, I'm feeling the ache in the elbow. And I guess it's because I'm older now, but the time change, it really jacks me. Probably because of work and all the different stuff going on. But yeah, I feel it for a couple of days. But like I told you, I slept. I slept like a little child, like a sweet little baby last night, sleeping, feeling good. I woke up. I was like, what time is it? I'm like, holy crap. I felt good. I feel good now. So I think I'm recouped. I needed that. Whatever happened last night, it was almost like, sometimes your body, I like it when your body does this where it's like, no, dude, we're going to shut you down. We're performing an intervention to make sure you get the proper rest necessary. And so I did. Because if I don't have to be up early, I don't set an alarm because normally I just wake up when I'm supposed to wake up. Yeah, can you do that? Have you tried that? There are times, and a lot of times I don't even set an alarm, where I tell myself before I fall asleep as I'm lying there in bed, all right, you need to wake up at this time. You got to wake up at 7. You got to wake up at 7:30, 8 o'clock, whatever the time is. And then for some reason, I just do. But last night, it was like the body performing the intervention where it's like, no, bro, we're going to shut you down. We're performing an intervention. You need more rest. And we had the time change. And your schedule right now is ridiculous. All right, when we come back, I'll give you an update on our pursuit of greatness with the 50-50 raffle benefiting ALS Northwest. It's time for you to step up, all right? You got to step up, and show out because it ends tonight, the raffle, at 11:59 p.m., so you still have time to participate, have a chance to win some bucks and put a few dollars in your pocket, some bread. But most importantly, we're going to help people in need with ALS Northwest. I'll explain that next, and then we'll hear from the captain, Rich Patterson, my conversation with him following his 3,000th straight game with the Trailblazers. You got the Rip City Drive with Chad doing. All right, 4 o'clock chat here. The Blazers fall last night to the Warriors at Chase Center in San Francisco, 130 to 120. Gary Payton II led the Dubs with 26 points. Warriors connected on 21 threes and scored 25 points off of turnovers. The good news, Denny Avdia was back in the lineup and awesome. 34 points, 16 boards, and 6 assists. And the rookie Donovan Clingan with one of the best games of the year, 15 points, 9 boards, and 6 assists. Portland back at it tomorrow night. They're at home against the Knicks. Tip-off from Moda at 7 on Blazers game day at 5. On your home of the Blazers, 620, Rip City Radio. From the NFL, the Colts have signed Daniel Jones to a one-year deal worth $14 million. Chiefs safety Justin Reed headed to the Saints, 3 years, $31 million. Leonard Floyd, released by the Niners, expected to sign with the Falcons. And the Oregon State women have topped UAP in the WCC final and get the automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. We got the captain, Rich Patterson, at 420. Brooke Olzendam going to stop by at 520. All right, we're just under 8 hours away from the end of our 50-50 raffle benefiting ALS Northwest. You have until 11:59 tonight to participate, and I'm asking you to join me in the fight. It's important to me, and I really know that many of you out there listening have a heart for people, and you want to help people out. And now you can do so by buying some raffle tickets, and you can do it selfishly, too. You have a chance to win some cash, and we can put ourselves in a position to make a difference. That's what it's all about. So what I want you to do is go to our website, ripcityradio.com, scroll down to the bottom of the page, hit the icon for 50-50 raffle, and then it will take you to the link to buy tickets. You can get 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 tickets for 25, or 5 tickets for 10. And look, I don't care how much you decide to spend. You want to spend $10, do it. But if we get a bunch of people to spend $10, we can make a big difference. And you can be a part of the process to help out the families that are in need by supporting ALS Northwest. We have 7 hours and 56 minutes exactly remaining. So go to our website, ripcityradio.com, and scroll down and hit the 50-50 icon. And then it will take you to the link to where you can buy tickets. 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 for 25, or 5 for 10. Now, I will say this. For my friends and my listeners in the Southwest Washington area, over in the Couve, you have to buy tickets on the Oregon side because of the rules and the regulations with the raffle and the this and the that and the nonsense. You have to be in Oregon to purchase. So, yes, I'm asking you to drive over the I-5 bridge. I realize you're risking your life to hit the I-5 bridge because it might fall into the Columbia River. I get that. You might even get stuck in a bridge lift because they decided to put a freaking drawbridge on an interstate. So you could get stuck in a bridge lift, and then when you get on the bridge, it could fall into the Columbia River, but I'm telling you, it's worth the risk. Just pretend like it's back in the old days, like it's 1991, and you're like, dang, I got to get my plays in. It's time to hit Jansen Beach, hit Plaid, and get my sports action rolling, all right? It's just like that. Except this time you're just going to drive over the bridge, buy your tickets, do a little U-turn, and head back to the Couve. All right? And would you want to look my grandfather in the eye, Mr. Don Luckstead, and be like, Don, I could have helped, but I didn't want to drive over the bridge? No, of course not. So sack up, drive over the bridge if you're in Southwest Washington, and buy tickets. Now, we talked with Cassie Adams, the executive director, yesterday. And keep in mind, we're doing this really for one person, and that's Mike Lynch, who worked with the Trailblazers last year. He finally got to live out his dream of working for a sports team, in this case, the Trailblazers. He was handling the studio role that I'm doing now and that Jay Allen did before him. Jay Allen. So he got a chance to live out his dream, and he worked for the team for a year. And then when the season started last year, he was having these audible issues on air. And I didn't know what was going on. I was like, is he drunk? Well, he was scared and didn't know what was going on, so he went and got tested, and they found out that he's got ALS. not even 40 years old. Can you imagine how scary that would be to be delivered basically a death sentence before you hit 40? Knowing that you're going to lose control of your ability to move, to walk, to talk, all of it. It's horrific. And then on the families that have to care for the person that's been stricken by ALS, horrific. My grandfather, Don Luckstead, died because of ALS. And I never got to hear him talk, just moan. Never got to see him walk. He was in a chair. I did get to roam around the neighborhood in Ponca City, Oklahoma on his wheelchair. But I saw what it did to his body. But even worse, what it did to my grandma. I mentioned this, I think, yesterday. My grandfather was not exactly what you would call a great husband. He's not going to win Husband of the Year award or anything like that. And I guess before I was born, according to my mom, not the best guy. But when he got stricken, my grandmother, because she was dedicated to him, I mean, she took care of him every day. And we're talking about like hard ass work, like that real work that no one sees that goes on behind closed doors, the sacrifice that's involved. She would get up in the morning, and I spent a lot of summers out there hanging out, and she never complained about it. And she was hard. My grandma was tough. That was one tough woman. But she got up in the morning. She'd get him out of bed, get him in his wheelchair. She would take him into the bathroom, shave him, brush his teeth, bathe him. And it's not a big house we're talking about. She would do everything. Until that was done, her day could not start. And she did it every day, every freaking day. And so I admired her dedication and commitment and sacrifice. And he actually outlived her, which is wild in my mind. So my grandfather and Mike Lynch inspired this. And so that's why I'm asking you to help. And whether you spend $5 or $100 or $500 or whatever, I don't care. Just be a part of it. Make a difference. You got a chance to do it right now. So go to RipCityRadio.com and scroll down. You'll find the 50/50 icon for ALS. Hit that, and then you'll find the link to where you buy tickets. And we have now less than 8 hours. It's going to go until 11:59 tonight. All right? So let's get on this. Let's make it happen. And I would like to see this current jackpot continue to grow. Right now, we're at $6,310. The estimated split, $3,155. 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 for 25, and 5 for 10. 7 hours, 51 minutes, and 5 seconds, and counting. Tick, 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 tick. All right, so if you're in Oregon, good. Just go buy them right now. Go to RipCityRadio.com, scroll down to the 50/50 icon, hit that, and then make your purchase. We have 7 hours and 50 minutes on the clock. 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 for 25, or 5 for 10. And it's powered by our good friends at Coors Light. You know, Coors Light is a terrific partner, and they do a lot of things with their resources to help us do many great things on the radio station. And so I just want to thank them. And then ALS Northwest. The other reason why we got to step up and help out is that the problem with ALS is that, you know, a lot of people can't really sink their teeth into that like we can with other things like breast cancer or some of the other, big nonprofits that people support. Like, I feel like we kind of know and feel what cancer is. But with ALS, there's a lot of unknown. And with the unknown, it's hard to really convey that message to people. What is it exactly? People don't really know what it is. It doesn't get the attention that some of the other nonprofits do, and so that makes it difficult. And that's why they need your help. But here's the important thing. So let's take Mike Lynch, for example. So what happens is you get the diagnosis of ALS. So once you get through the shock of having to deal with that type of diagnosis, well, the problem is that, I know this is a big surprise, insurance doesn't step in and just take care of everything for you. Insurance isn't like, well, no problem, we got you covered. No, they cover things up to a certain point. But where the issue comes in is when you need to have like a powered wheelchair, or you need to make some adjustments to your current home to where the person with ALS can have access to the front door, or maybe a wider, spacing in the hallway to be able to get around. And I asked Cassie yesterday, I'm like, well, how much? Okay, so let's just say you needed a power wheelchair. Let's say that I needed a power wheelchair for my grandpa to be able to get around because he's got ALS. How much does that cost? Low end on that, $80,000. Now, here's a question. Who in the hell's got 80 grand sitting around that they can just drop on a wheelchair because they need one? Nobody? It's absurd. So what ALS Northwest does is that they can come in and provide help to fill in the gaps. For what insurance doesn't do, they can step in and help people fill the gaps. And they've got resources around where they've got these programs where they can get a wheelchair to someone. They can get other items that may be needed to other people. They can help bridge the gap with some of the shortfalls with the insurance. That's why it's important. So there you have it. That's the story. Inspired by Mike Lynch of the Trailblazers, who was working his dream 1 year in, gets diagnosed with ALS. And then, of course, my grandpa, Don Luckstead. The other thing I learned about my grandfather that we now share in common, like when I say a small house, so like my mom's parents, they were not rich, right? So they had a house in Ponca City, Oklahoma that was real close to the Conoco refinery. And I loved the neighborhood. And I spent a lot of time out there in the summer times hanging out with my grandma. And, you know, my grandma was on a fixed income, but what I loved was every week, you know, when we go to the store, the IGA to go shopping, you know, she would let us pick out our treats, the different cereals we wanted. She didn't make us eat the bag cereal like the Fruitangity-O's. We get the box cereal. I get a big thing of Cracker Jacks. Like, that was fun. All right, go pick out what you want. We get Kool-Aid. Remember Kool-Aid? That you buy those little packets and then you add sugar and water and you stir it up. We'd have the Kool-Aid working. We'd have the this and the that. And then she'd always make pancakes with Bisquick in the morning. And then by the time I was done eating that, it was time to watch Price is Right. And the great thing is when you're young like that and you're hanging out with grandma, you weren't worried about all the little details. I just need a couple of items to fill my tummy up with and then watch Bob Barker. That's all I needed. And it was great to hang out with her. And my grandpa would be there and, you know, the whole shebang. But this house was small house. And to see her navigate the house and do what she did was impressive. So there you have it. That's my story. That's my spiel. So what I'm telling you is step it up. I want to hear from raffle tickets. Go to RipCityRadio.com, scroll down, hit the 50/50 icon for ALS, and then it's that simple. Make your purchase. 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 for 25, and 5 for 10. And major props to our partner, Coors Light, for powering this and making it possible. All right, we got a chance to make a difference. Currently 7 hours, 46 minutes, and 0 seconds. Throw it down, big man. What would Bill Walton say? All right, go there and get your tickets, please. I'm begging you for your help. And if you're in Southwest Washington, time to make a sports action run 91 style. Drive your ass over the bridge, buy your tickets, and go back home. And it's for a good cause. 400 tickets for 100, 100 for 50, 25 for 25, or 5 for 10. All right, coming up next, we'll talk number 3,000 with the captain, Rich Patterson. And by the way, this is a very good song, Shacker. This is my boy, Boz Scaggs. And this is not one of his, like, 80s popular hits, but it's one of his good songs. And it's only like, I think it's less than 3 minutes. It's over now. I love Boz Scaggs. He's got a unique voice. I've seen him in concert once up at the Schnitz. And I think he was once with the Steve Miller Band, I think. Oh, that's a good tune. All right, Shacker, take us to break. We'll talk to the captain, Rich Patterson, coming up next and get his thoughts on number 3,000. All right, joining us now on the Rip City Drive. What a pleasure this is. The captain, Rich Patterson, who just worked his 3,000th consecutive game with the Portland Trailblazers. And, Rich, I want to thank you for coming on the Rip City Drive to talk about the moment. You know, when I was getting a chance to work with the guys, we just wanted to create a night that was special for you on Sunday that you would never forget. So how did it play out, number 3,000 for you?
It played out quite well. I can't thank you and Travis and Curtis Long, Dave Barbaras, for all the work that you put into it, all the nice comments from people like Casey Holall, the tribute they did on TV. It was overwhelming. It made 3,000 straight worth it.
You know, I talked to your sister, and she said that your parents instilled in you a certain level of understanding that when you have a job or something you're supposed to get done, you show up and you get the job done. How important were those messages from your parents that kind of helped create what you've become?
You know, I didn't realize it at the time, but I guess in hindsight, my dad was a Portland police officer for a number of years.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. He was a Portland police officer from the 50s, and he got injured on the job when I was in first grade. But I really didn't realize what had happened because being a young kid, they kind of kept that from me.
Yeah.
But also my mom worked, she was a working mom. And so I always knew two parents that worked. And even when my mom was working and my dad was no longer able to work, he still did things around the house. He was like a house husband before that was a real word. So I realized that, you got to work to get something done.
You know, you've got a long list of experience in the Portland area in radio, but for the Trailblazers, what was it like? It's probably hard to put into words, but to be a fan and to grow up admiring Bill Schonely and then to later become a colleague and great friends with him, like, what is that? I mean, that's so special. Like, what does it mean to you to be able to look back and be like, wow, that really happened?
It is something that I still to this day find hard to believe. When I started, when I did the first season for the Blazers in 84, 85, I just did that one season. Working with Sean's was really something. Those games we ran out of KEX, so it's not like I really knew Sean's that well. I would see him from time to time. But then once I rejoined the team in 92, got to know him a little bit better. Then when we moved into Motor Center, then I saw him every day. And I think that Bill kind of realized what a fan I was and how much I respected him, how much he respected my love of the game and of the team. And the one thing that I will always remember, Chad, is maybe 10 years ago, Sean's came up to me in the media room here where we eat before home games, and he came up to me, put his hand on my shoulder and said, "Rich, my boy, got a question to ask you." And he said that he wanted to know if I would like to have all of his tapes, all of his archives, because he said that I was the one person that he knew would do right by them. And I tell you, I don't know if I've ever had a bigger compliment in my life from anybody about anything than Bill Schonely, the man who I grew up listening to as a kid.
Trailblazers and Knicks getting ready for action tonight. Tip-off is coming up at 7.
It's like the ultimate sign of respect in this business,
starting at 6 o'clock.
It was amazing.
And Michael Holton will have the call for you.
I was helping him move, maybe 3 or 4 years before he passed. And he had all these boxes of things that he just kind of wanted to get rid of. And do you want them? Well, sure. And to this day, I'm still going through and finding things. One of the great things I did find was the letter where he was hired by the Portland Trailblazers. And I found that, and when we have security cameras in our house, in the garage, I kept the clip of me finding this and going, holy, because I'd opened up the letter, and here it is. He's being offered the job with the Trailblazers. And I gave that to the Oregon Historical Society.
Oh, I'm glad you did. Now, did that come from Harry Glickman? Who wrote the letter?
Yeah, it was from Harry Glickman. Yeah, it was something. And I still, in the studio at Studio C, I have a copy of it that I keep framed in there because it is such an amazing piece of Blazer history.
All right, you were telling me the 3,000 streak started back in the 91-92 season?
The playoffs of 92. So, yeah, the 91-92 season.
Okay, so over the course of that long span, 3,000 games, how close did it come to ending? Like through illness or some other act of God that may have taken place? How many times did it come close to ending?
Really only one time, and that was, I believe, in the first season of Moda Center when it was the Rose Garden back then, and I had strep throat and a fever of 102, and I just felt lousy. But one thing about my job is I have never really had a backup. And so, but that night, there was a big red couch that was in the studio because they used it for production. And I would just lay on that couch. Sean's would take a break. I would get up, hit the commercials, go back and lay down again. There are 3 broadcasts that I did not do the entire broadcast, but I figured, like in baseball, if someone plays a half inning, it's a game.
It counts.
Yes.
Absolutely counts.
There was one time when Paul McCartney was at the Rose Garden.
Yeah.
And so I got us on the air. I believe I did the pregame show and then went to the concert.
Yeah.
And the other one, same thing, but it was Ringo at Civic Auditorium.
Oh, sweet.
So I got that all prepared, ready to go. And then the third, it was a Friday night. I remember this well. I got us on the air and then had to leave for meetings for the adoption for our son.
That's awesome.
And those are the 3 where I did not work a complete game.
Yeah, it was really cool. I was so happy I had a chance to interview your son for the pregame show because, like your son Sam, I'm adopted as well. So I feel like there's a connection there, which I think is really neat. I'm glad what you and Deb were able to provide for him with that. I think you and I are very similar, and I wanted to ask you this question. Like, I love sports, but I love radio, any form of radio. Like, I really love the medium. I think it's beautiful. And for me, it started when I was young. I would spend a lot of time over at my Nana and Papa's house, and my Papa had this beautiful radio that was sitting up in the windowsill by the dining room table, where it was a big open window where he liked to sit and look at the birds and the foliage and all this stuff. And he would have different games and listen to music, and I would sit on his lap and listen to the radio. And that's where I really started to develop a love for the radio because I knew how much he loved it. So where did your love of radio start? What was the beginning stages of that for you?
Boy, I think it's all the what we learned when we got into radio is that it's theater of the mind.
Yes.
And as a child, I didn't know it at the time, but listening to my favorite DJs and listening to what was going on, it was magical to me. And the one station that was huge when I was growing up was KISN, 91 AM. It was far and away the number 1 station in Portland for the 60s and in the 70s until they went off the air in 76. They went on the air in 1959. But what was magical about them is that the studio was down on the corner of 10th and Burnside, which is now right across the street from Powell's Books. And when you're at the stoplight there, they had the windows where you could look in and see the jock.
Yeah.
And you could see them doing their thing. And as a kid, if we had to drive through downtown, you're always rooting for the red light at that intersection so you could look in there. I was also what they call a contest pig, where I don't care if they were giving away a dirt clod and a piece of candy. I would try and win that just so I could go down to the radio station and look in the window and just look at these guys.
Now, you started a long time ago in radio. Were you able to play your own songs when you were DJing back in the day, or did you always have like a produced set list from your program director?
You know, what's really odd is that I didn't. I'm thinking back to KEX, we didn't. Solid Gold FM 100. Z100, we had a playlist. But in truth, I maybe only did like 7 or 8 shifts at Z100. I was like the emergency guy when no one else could fill in.
Yeah.
And I would go and do that. And I initially didn't want to do it because the first night that I was asked to do a shift on Z100, this was in 87, when Z100 was one of the top radio stations in the country. And there would be radio people around the country that they'd give a finger if they could just do a shift on Z100.
Yeah.
I'm in the music office at KEX, and it's Chet Buchanan, who was the night jock, and Sean Lynch, who was the program director. They come in and we don't have anybody. We what can we do? We need someone to fill in tonight. And they said, "Hey, Rich, why don't you do it?" It's like, no, I'm not a Z100, high talking kind of guy. I'm a Z or a KEX, low energy, kind of mellow. Anybody that listened to KEX in the day knows that that's what it was.
Yeah.
They said, "Go ahead, do it." And they had to basically beg me to do a shift on Z100. In hindsight, I'm thinking like I said, there are so many people that would kill to do a shift on one of the hottest stations in the country. And here I have the program director and the music director begging me to do a shift.
Yeah.
So I did it and had fun with it.
Yeah, the 2 big music stations when I was in middle school and high school, at the time it was Q105 and Z100. Those were the 2 big stations. And then as time, like it does in every market, things change and different stations come on board and everything like that. With the Trailblazers, like, is Bill Walton your favorite player of all time? Like, who's your favorite player in franchise history? And you've had a chance to meet so many of them and develop a connection with them.
Well, Bill is a favorite just because of what he did for the team.
Yeah, the championship.
Yes. As far as personally and people who I actually had a relationship with and would talk to, that would be Terry Porter,
yes,
who to this day is still so great. And you guys had him
he made a note for it, which is great.
He was on the pregame, did a mention for me, and Jerome Kersey.
Yeah, Jerome. You and I were talking about that at Studio C the other day, where that was one when I got word that he had passed. I was in the Bay Area at the time, and I mean, I had to sit down and absorb that because I was close with him, and I know you were. But he was everything that people thought he was. He was great.
He was, and the smile could light up the arena. He was the kind of guy that you thought he would be if you were able to meet him. I would put him right up there. TP is the same way, and also Sean's. When Sean's passed away, what I would tell people is, when you met Sean's, he was just like you would hope he would be. He wasn't an ego. That was the way it was with Jerome. And that night was still just so bizarre. I'm putting my son to bed, and I'm laying down with him, and all of a sudden my phone starts going off. It starts buzzing. It's like, what is going on here? And it was that night I go and check, and it's like, wow, how could that? It was unbelievable to believe that.
That's incredible. Yeah, we're talking with the captain, Rich Patterson, who just worked his 3,000th consecutive game with the Portland Trailblazers on Sunday against the Pistons, which was really awesome. The one thing that's great about this business, at least what I've learned to enjoy over the course of time, is, the people that you work with. Like, I've had a chance to work with you. I grew up listening to you, which I think is really cool. But you've worked with some people here in the organization for a long period of time. They're like family now.
They are. They're leaving. They're retiring slowly but surely. And I think it was, you asked me the other day, am I the longest tenured employee with the Trailblazers now? And I can't think of anybody else. Lori Spencer, who was an amazing person who worked in the ticket office, she was here from the late 70s, and she just retired a couple of years ago. And I can't think of anybody else that's been around that long. But I could be wrong. So
that's great. All right, final question for you. How long would it take? Can you get to 4,000?
No. I happened to see an article that Kerry Eggers wrote about when I did 2,000.
Yeah.
And that was about 10, 11 years ago. And I am not going to do that. I think 3,500 is doable. Is very doable. Yes.
All right, but 4,000. So it would take it. I did the math. I figured it was somewhere just over a decade to get to another 1,000. That's what it is, right? About a decade or so.
That's it. And I want to enjoy some retirement. One thing, Chad, is that I started this when I was in my 20s.
Yes.
So I have now worked Blazer games in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s.
5 decades.
Yes. And so will I get to 70? Who knows? I would like to get to 40 seasons. That would be one thing.
I'll tell you one thing that's beautiful about you, Rich. You and your wife and the relationship you have, it's a special one. I can see the connection between you two, and I admire it. It's awesome, man. Deb is wonderful.
Well, can I tell you a story that I have never told on the air before? About one of my more unique experiences with the Trailblazers, running the games.
Yes.
Before we adopted Sam, my wife Deb and I went through fertility treatments to try and have our child, and didn't work. But one of the things there is that she had to have a shot in the posterior morning and night, and I'm the one that had to do that.
Yes.
And so this was a time when we were running games out of KXL. This would have been about 2004, 2005, excuse me. And she would come down to the studio, and with the ice pack, ice up, and boom, I'd give her the shot, and she'd be on her way. Well, this one night, we're playing a game in Boston.
Yeah.
And we're all ready to do the shot, and we lose the signal. So I have this needle in my hand, ready to give her a shot. We're off the air. And so this is the ultimate in multitasking. I'm trying to reconnect with Boston. Okay, boom, I'll give you the shot. Okay, you're good. And go back and reconnect. And so that was, once again, one of the more unique experiences in my 3,000 games.
That's funny. I remember one time my mom and dad were hooting and hollering in the bathroom. And I was like, what's going on in there? And my dad told me that my mom had a boil on her posterior, and he was trying to take care of that for her. And then my dad later told me, he goes, that's when you know it's true love, is when you're willing to take care of your partner's posterior.
Yeah,
so.
that's it. And I learned how to give shots during those days, and I could give shots while trying to get a broadcast back on the air.
Well, congratulations, my friend. What a pleasure it was to be a part of that, because, again, you're one of the guys that came before me, and I grew up listening to you, and to have a chance to work with you is really awesome.
You know how old that makes me feel?
I know. I feel bad saying it, but it's true.
Wow, Curtis says that as well. Yeah.
Yes.
And so,
but we get a chance to be a part of last night, but I think 3,000 is a big-time number. It was special, and I just think you're awesome, and congratulations, man. What a night it was.
It was very special. I once again thank everybody who was responsible for that. Aaron Grossman, I have my number 92 jersey that is now hanging in Studio C, so I feel like I've arrived.
Yes. All right. All right, Nights on Broadway. This might be their best song. So good. I won't even disrespect the Bee Gees by trying to sing the Bee Gees. I can't even dream about hitting that type of falsetto. Come on, give me some volume on this. I've probably mentioned this before, but of all the bands that I wish I could have seen live, they would be number one on the list. There's some times where I wish I was maybe born a little bit earlier, just so I could have gone to some of the concerts. But I would need that age range where my mom wouldn't prevent me from going to certain shows. My mom put the kibosh on a lot of different things when I was younger. I didn't see my first musical concert until I was like a senior in high school, 17. I tried to go to the Hall & Oates, Thompson Twins, but my mom didn't think it was appropriate. And she was probably right. Okay, big thanks to those of you who are making an effort right now. We're making progress. We got the raffle pot up to $64.70. So you guys are responding to the plea to help out ALS Northwest with the raffle. And you can do it selfishly, too. Have a chance to win, pocket $3,000. So here's what you want to do. Go to RipCityRadio.com and scroll down to the 50/50 icon. Hit that, and it'll take you to the link where you can buy tickets. 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 for 25, and 5 tickets for 10. It's powered by our good friends at Coors Light, and we're benefiting ALS Northwest in honor of Mike Lynch and my grandfather, Donald Luckstead. So I want you to buy tickets, and right now we have 7 hours, 14 minutes, 22 seconds remaining. 7 hours, 14 minutes. It's going to end at 11:59 tonight, and then the raffle ticket will be drawn tomorrow. And I will announce the winner on the program, but it's going to be drawn tomorrow. But I want you to take part and be a part of this because it's special. Rich Patterson just reached out and said, hey, that was a pretty decent interview on the show. Well, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Rich. I love the captain. 3,000 straight games. Like, even Shaq and I were talking about this. Like, I don't take sick days very often, but even I got wiped out by COVID and missed some time. That was brutal. I still blame that fat freak on the airplane that was yapping. I think I got it from her. She was a disgusting person. Foul-mouthed and freaky. I was coming back from Vegas. I think she gave it to me. That's who I'm blaming. I couldn't believe the stuff that was coming out of her pie hole, too. She was loud and obnoxious. It's like, can you please close your pie hole? No? Okay, never mind. But I didn't have the energy to get into it. But I think I blame her. I blame the pig on the plane for getting me sick. And the F-bombs. It was probably the 50 F-bombs that flew out of her mouth that infected me with COVID. But even I got wiped out. But the captain, 3,000 consecutive games. Props to him. That's an Iron Man streak right there. Iron Man. Stephen Vaughn has reached out. Saw your tweet the other day. Here's some more hope for you. All right, let's see what's going on. Great, I'm getting more Selma Hayek reaction. All I did was I saw a picture of her, and I was like, gosh, 56 and still spectacular. And then I had people tell me, like, you need to take your shot. I'm like, I'm not reaching. I'm not going to slide into Selma Hayek's DMs. It's not happening. That would be the same as, like, Al-Farouq Aminu bombing a three-pointer from the corner for the game winner, and it hits the side of the backboard. I'm not going to slide into Selma's DMs. It's not a bad idea, but I know. Well, what's the worst you could say, Chad? No? Or just not respond? Yes, I understand that. I'm not doing it. It's probably not a bad idea. I just admire people that are older and still spectacular. That's all. That's all I'm saying. She looks spectacular. I appreciate the video, Stephen, of Selma swimming in her swimming pool doing laps. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. But no, don't you? You guys that are older out there, maybe my age, don't you appreciate? I don't want to get into this right now, but I'll get into this right now. Like, what I've experienced as I've gotten older is, like, don't you find beauty in different things now? Like, I guess what I'm trying to say is, like, you find hot or something that's sexy or beautiful in many different things as you get older. Like, an example I would have is not too long ago, I was at the grocery store. And when I go to the store, look, I ain't messing around. I'm not there to window shop. I go in for a purpose. I get what I need, and I get the heck out of Dodge. And that goes for anywhere I go. I don't window shop. I go in with a plan, a purpose, a mission. I go in, I get what I need, I get what I came for, and I get out. Well, as I was perusing down the frozen food section, there's these one little noodle bowls with the chicken that I like to buy and have on hand because they're pretty tasty when I have the fresh veggies and everything. So I'm rolling down to get my box of noodles, and then I saw this lady. She was a mother, and she was remarkably beautiful. Let's just put it at that. She was unbelievable. I would guess probably early 40s. It's hard for me to guess on age these days because I'm older, so I don't know what age is anymore. But I'm going to guess late 30s, early 40s. She was beautiful. But what I found incredibly sexy was the fact that she had 4 kids with her, younger, and they were creating absolute chaos. One kid was wanting this, another kid was yelling about this, and 2 of the other kids were fighting with one another. Like typical nonsense that you have as a parent. Now, as a father, I never really had patience for the nonsense. So it's like, okay, shut up or you're going to die, and then we got to get out of here. I did not have composure. I did not have patience. I did not handle that very well. But I was watching her, and she was operating with such grace and loving kindness for her kids in the middle of the chaos, pushing the cart and navigating the store and getting all the different things she needed for the home. And she was doing so with great presence about her. And she was beautiful. And so I just admired the beauty in the moment of a mom looking the way she did, showing the composure that she showed, and just going about her business with a certain gentle nature. I thought that was beautiful. When you're younger as a guy, you notice is she hot or not? I mean, that's pretty much the question. As guys, we're not exactly the most, we're not complex in so many ways, especially when we were younger. Is she hot or not? That's pretty much the question. Or after a date when you were younger, did you tongue her? Did you get tongue? Those are the questions. It sounds funny, but that's how it went down. Did you cop a feel? Did you do this? All the basic nonsense that young guys talk about. But as you get older, you start to appreciate different things. Composure, how a person handles themselves under pressure, a mom that can navigate a store and deal with chaos with the kids all at the same time. Those type of things. That's all. I was at an event the other night, and there was a lady who was presenting. She was well put together. I would say she was beautiful, but the way that she was commanding the stage and delivering the information without hesitation, in command of the material she was discussing, I found a certain beauty in that because of the way that she was commanding the stage. That's all. And I guess with Selma Hayek, like just the fact that you could be close to 60 and still have that type of look. It's pretty awesome. That's all. That's all I'm trying to say. So, no, I'm not going to go Al Camino and slide into the DMs and hit the three-pointer off the side of the backboard. I don't need that experience in my life. There's one thing I've learned in life is that I have an ability to repel females, unlike most men. That's all. So I understand that now, and that's how I roll. Now, who was the other one? My buddy reached out to me. I will not share names just to protect the innocent involved. He said, what about Gwyneth Paltrow now? And then he mentioned Katie Lee from the Food Network. Katie Lee is nice. Very nice. Nice work, my friend. I don't know. What does Gwyneth Paltrow look like right now? Probably pretty good, I would guess. Let's just do a little, let's reach out to Rabbi Google and see what he has to say about Gwyneth. All right. Yeah. How old is she? Not bad. Gwyneth, not bad. Gwyneth she's been around a long time in the movies. 52 years of age. So we're only 3 years apart. I'll be 50 in August. There you go. That's all I got to say about that. Look, all I'm saying is as you get older, you find beauty in many different things. That's all. All right? Am I wrong on that? Never mind. So I'm sorry I brought it up. Thanks a lot for nothing, everybody. I'm not sliding into Selma's DMs. I'm trying to think if I ever slid into anyone's DMs. Not a female. I might slip into I've slipped into DMs for interview purposes. That's about it. But if they don't know you, they're not going to respond to you in most cases, you would think. All right, we'll keep things rolling. Brooke Olzendam is going to join us coming up at 5:20. We got some big stuff going on with the Trailblazers this month. I want to talk to her about a special event coming up this week at this summit that she'll be presenting at. So we'll talk with her. And I appreciate you jumping on board. We got people reaching out and making a difference with our 50-50 raffle, which is awesome. And we got Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday coming up next here on the Rip City Drive. All right, this just came across the wire. DeAndre Hopkins has agreed to a one-year deal with the Ravens. Other free agency news, the Colts have agreed to a one-year deal with Daniel Jones, $14 million. Chief safety Justin Reed on his way to the Saints, 3 years and $31 million. Leonard Floyd, who was released by the Niners, expected to sign with the Falcons. The Oregon State women have defeated Portland in the WCC final. They'll get the automatic bid into the NCAA tournament. Trailblazers take a loss last night at Chase Center in San Francisco by 10. Gary Payton II led the Dubs with 26. It was very annoying. Warriors connected on 21 threes and scored 25 points off of Trailblazer turnovers. But Denny Avdia back in the lineup, epic. 34 points, 16 boards, 6 assists. And how about the rookie Donovan Clingan, one of his best all-around games, 15 points, 9 boards, and 6 assists. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday is coming up next, and then Brooke Olzendam at 5:20 here on the Rip City Drive. All right, Deb Patterson, the wife of Rich Patterson, has chimed in. Great interview with my husband. And by the way, I saw not only the Bee Gees in concert, but in a separate concert, I saw Andy Gibb. I'm sure you must be so jealous. I am. I told her, I said, it must have been awesome. And she goes, it was. I was 12 at the time. There's no way my mom's let me go to a concert like that at the age of 12. That's just not the way my mom rolled, man. She walked the straight and narrow, and she was trying to keep filthiness out of my dome. That's how my mom operated. But, man, Andy Gibb, too. I remember back in the days when he was on Solid Gold. It's too bad that he had issues with substance and alcohol because he had talent, and I would like to have heard him, team up with his bros. So there you have it. Yeah, concerts. I love live music, and there's definite bands or artists that I have not seen I would like to see. But the Bee Gees at the top of the list. Oh, my goodness. Wish I could have seen them live. All right, Brooke Olzendam coming up at 5:20, and it's time for Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. As you know, every Tuesday throughout the entire basketball season, every Tuesday, we hand out tickets to every Trailblazer home game, courtesy of your Portland Trailblazers and me, the Rip City Drive, Chad Doing. We're here to help you. We want to help people by getting to basketball games at no charge. And so I feel very good about that. Now, our next giveaway, this is going to be for the game coming up on Sunday against the Toronto Raptors. The good thing about this game is it's a matinee game. So if you win tickets, you get a chance to get up, you can have a little brunch, hit the game, and then when it's over, you still got the rest of your evening ahead of you. It's the perfect situation. I love matinee basketball. I'll be there. The Blazers are going to be there. You can watch them play. Denny Avdia will probably go off again. You can see Tamani Kamara frustrate a few guys with his defense, the whole shebang. Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday. And, of course, for all of your Trailblazer ticket needs, just simply head on over to trailblazers.com/tickets. All right, we're going to keep this simple today. No name that tune. No guess which movie this is. None of that. We're going to keep it very, very simple. In fact, we should do that in honor of Denny Avdia. Number 8. We'll take caller 8 right now. 503-248-0620. I want to hear from a Trailblazer fan. We have tickets for the Raptors game Sunday matinee style. 503-248-0620 in honor of Denny Avdia, who went wild last night in the Bay Area with 34 points, 16 boards, 6 assists. Back in the lineup off the quad contusion. 503-248-0620. Hit me with your calls right now. 503-248-0620. It is Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday, courtesy of your Portland Trailblazers and me. And for all of your Trailblazer ticket needs, just simply head on over to trailblazers.com. It's that simple. 503-248-0620. 503-248-0620. And there you have it. The phone lines are packed. Good luck. Good luck, my friends, as you fight it out on the phone lines. And Brooke Olzendam coming up in 15 minutes. All right, 50-50 raffle. All right, we are making progress, and that's because of all of you great people out there who are stepping up to make progress. Go to the website right now. The raffle is going to end in 6 hours, 53 minutes, and 40 seconds. Now, as you know, my grandfather, as I've mentioned, Don Luckstead, passed away from ALS. I never heard him speak. I never saw him walk. He was confined to a chair, although I did get to give him rides around the neighborhood in the wheelchair. The disease is horrendous because it comes in and takes over, and it destroys your body. And what's even worse is for the people that have to care for those who have ALS. I saw my grandmother do it every day. Before she did anything for herself, it was all about getting my grandfather ready for each day. She didn't complain. She didn't whine. She just did what she committed to do, and that was take care of him no matter what. And I admire that about her. There's a certain toughness from that I admire. So we're honoring my grandfather by helping out ALS Northwest, and we're also helping out and honoring Mike Lynch, Trailblazer broadcaster, got his dream job, and 1 year after he had stepped into the role, he gets diagnosed with ALS, not even 40. Can you imagine getting that news? Not even 40 years of age, death sentence. Boom. So what ALS Northwest does is they step in to help families. They provide resources, they help with counseling, and they can help bridge the gap for what insurance doesn't cover. And as you might imagine, with insurance, that's quite a bit. Because there's certain things you need, like a powered wheelchair, or you might need to make some adjustments to a doorway, or having the ability to get the wheelchair up to the front of the house so you can get in the crib. And so I asked Cassie Adams from the ALS yesterday, out of curiosity, what's the price on a powered wheelchair? Low end, 80 grand. Well, who in the flip has got 80 grand to spend on a wheelchair if they need one? Nobody? So they have resources, and they've got these other programs where they can get equipment to people who are dealing with ALS to make sure they have the tools they need to move forward, to bridge the gap. And that's what it's all about. And so you have a chance. I have a chance. We all have a chance to make a difference. So what I'm asking you to do is join me in the fight. You can buy 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 tickets for 25, or 5 tickets for 10. And honestly, I don't care if you spend $10 or $100 or whatever. Every dollar counts, so step up and make it happen. Now, if you're in Southwest Washington, if you live in the Couve like I do, you cannot buy it in the state of Washington because rules. There's always, leave it to rules to screw up everything. So what you're going to have to do is drive over the bridge. You got to drive over the bridge to buy your tickets and then go back home. So in other words, it's like back in the day when you'd have to fly over there to Plaid to pick up your sports action. And we had a kid in school that was 18. We would give him the money, and then he would drive over to Jansen Beach at Plaid and get it the sports action. And then he would hand it to us at school the next day. So pretend you're doing sports action, go back in time, drive over the I-5 bridge, make your ticket purchase, do the little loop around at Jansen Beach, and come back home. That's it. The worst part in all of this is that you might get stuck in a bridge lift, and then the bridge might fall into the Columbia River as you're crossing the bridge to go buy the tickets. That's the real concern here. Not the $10 or $100 or whatever you're going to spend on the tickets. It's a stupid I-5 bridge because geniuses thought it was a good idea to put a drawbridge on an interstate. That's a great idea. Yeah. We don't have to get anywhere. We've only got to get to work. I-5 southbound, bridge lift, nothing worse than that. That's the worst thing you have to do. So drive over, get your tickets, and then boom, you can be a part of something special. And you have until 11:59 tonight. Exactly 6 hours and 50 minutes on the nose. So jump on it. Join me in the fight. And then not only that, you can have a chance to put a few bucks in your pocket. And you don't have to admit it, but you can do it selfishly. Maybe you just want to win some money. And I'm okay with that. Because in the end, it doesn't matter what the motivation is. You're stepping up to help out ALS. ALS Northwest. It's that simple. So please join me. You've got time. All right? You've got plenty of time to make it happen. 6 hours, 49 minutes. And the pot is growing. And I want it to continue to grow. All right? So jump on it. I believe in you because I have a lot of people to listen. Oh, and by the way, a special shout out to Tony and Boring, who made a contribution. And also my good friend, Dr. Mike. Doc Mike is one of these guys where he's retired now, so he's getting a chance to bump around and enjoy life. But what I love about Doc Mike, he listens to the show, big Blazer fan. Doc Mike has a big heart, and Doc Mike believes in helping people. And so he has been on me, and he has been able to step up and make a contribution. So we appreciate that, Doc Mike. I know you got a big heart, and there's a lot of you like that. You just want to help people like I do. So please join me in the fight against ALS. We got to jump on it now. All right? We want that pot to continue to grow. Every dollar counts. Again, 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 for 25, or 5 for 10. So go to our website, RipCityRadio.com. I'm on there right now. Go to RipCityRadio.com. All you have to do is, once you're on the homepage, you'll see a picture of Tiger Woods discussing his Achilles tear. Scroll down, and eventually you're going to run into the icon. It says 50/50 raffle fundraiser. Click that, and it will take you to the page where it says, here's the link. Bold it out, hit that, and then boom, you're on the page. And that's it. Buy your tickets. And if you're in Southwest Washington, I apologize, but you're going to have to drive your ass over the bridge. Small price to pay, knowing that you can be a part of something special. And if you win, you get money. It's really the best of both worlds. All right, there you have it. So 50/50 raffle for ALS. I appreciate your support. Brooke Olzendam coming up in about 9 minutes. We'll talk some Trailblazer basketball with her. I want to get her take on the young guys. What has she learned about these dudes? Scoot, Shaden, Donovan Clingan, who was beautiful last night. And then, of course, Tamani and Denny. The worst part about the game last night was stupid Gary Payton going off. No one likes Gary Payton. I certainly don't. I know you don't. The two most hated Blazers. Are there two more hated guys in Rip City history than Raymond Felton and Gary Payton II? Because if there are, I can't think of one. Is there a worse one? Gary Payton II was not cool as a Trailblazer. Not a good guy. Not a good guy, and then he forced his way back to the Warriors. Thanks for nothing, Gary. Really appreciate your help. And then Raymond Felton was the guy who showed up, let's just say, Lucas style, a little bit rounded, got frustrated because people criticized him. It's like, bro, you're supposed to be a point guard. We would think that maybe fitness might be at the top of your priority list, but that's not the case. And then he got upset because people were critical of him. It's like, bro, you're a pro athlete making $10 million, and you showed up to camp not in good shape. What do you want us to do? Be happy about that? Are you surprised that people might criticize the fact that you're fat? Is that surprising? And then because you were upset, you wanted to challenge the city to a fight. That's not a good play. All right? This town is very simple. Trailblazer fans are loyal. And if you work hard and you play hard and you bring a certain energy to the team, even if you're at the end of the bench, they're going to love you. They'll embrace you. They'll support you. But if you give them the middle finger and you show up out of shape or you're not ready to roll and you've got a bad attitude and it feels like you might be trying to rob the franchise blind of $10 million, they're not going to support that. And they won't forget either, by the way. And same thing with Gary Payton II. I mean, you have to work really hard. You have to be really on top of your game to get Rip City to not be down with you if you play for the Trailblazers. But that's what those guys did. So it's almost like they should be awarded something for finding a way to get one of the coolest fan bases of all time to hate you. Good work, fellas. Watching Gary Payton II last night go off was not something you hope for. All right, when we come back, Brooke Olzendam is going to join us and talk about this summit that she's going to be a part of this week. And next Tuesday, we'll have Trailblazer Ticket Tuesday again. So again, reminder, the 50/50 raffle, I'll give you the exact time, 6 hours, 45 minutes, 22 seconds. Go to RipCityRadio.com, scroll down to the 50/50 raffle icon, hit that. It will take you to the page you need to buy tickets. Again, 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 for 25, or 5 for 10. Join me in the fight against ALS, and I appreciate everyone who has stepped up to support. Your generosity is much appreciated. Let's get this done, man. 6 hours and 45 minutes to go. Boy, how lucky am I? I'm getting some bonus Brooke time over the last couple of weeks, which is really nice. Brooke Olzadam of your Portland Trailblazers, who's back on the Rip City Drive. Hey, Brooke, how great was Denny Avdia last night coming off the quad contusion? 34 points, 16 rebounds, and 6 assists. Like, he was a man possessed out there.
Oh, Chad, he was unreal. Unreal. I mean, that guy doesn't like to miss games. We know that. He wants to be out there. He'd play all 48 if he could. And so to see him just come out right from the chute and just, as you mentioned, go to work, flying around, doing everything, it was beautiful. You know, we mentioned it on the broadcast, Kevin and Lamar saying, you notice when Denny's on there and you are playing, and you also notice when Denny's out because of the energy he brings. So to have that back was just inspiring for everybody, inspiring to watch. It was too bad they couldn't get the win, but Warriors were just, shooting the lights out, being Warriors in Golden State. But the guys, they played hard, they played well. Denny was awesome. I thought Donovan played great too, did a little bit of everything. But it was just, it couldn't get over that hump towards the end. But yeah, Denny back in the mix. It's a beautiful thing. He was missed. He's always missed when he's not out there.
I think that Denny and Tamani have been the two best players from day one up until now this year. But with Denny, what I feel like, he's like a puzzle piece that where once he's in the lineup, it kind of allows everyone to kind of fit into their place. I feel like Denny does so much so well on both ends of the floor that he's kind of the straw that stirs the drink. So when he's on the floor, everyone else just kind of knows where to go, and then he kind of leads the charge. So that's what it feels like to me because of his great all-around play. Do you see that too?
Oh, totally. I talk about that a lot. He sets the tone, right? When he's out there, you're right. People are like, well, it's contagious, the energy, right? And then you see the other, like you mentioned, people kind of know their place. And when Denny's out there, you're exactly right. And I feel the same way that, okay, Denny's out there, everything is as it should be. And then they know their role. Everyone knows their role, and they just play at that same level. They want to play at that same level because when Denny's out there and doing that, you strive to, play at that same level. In that same level of energy. And when he's out there, it's a game changer. He's just been so phenomenal. And, at the beginning of the year, and coaches mentioned it too, he didn't really know he was going to be traded. So that was a surprise to him also. So it takes a while to kind of, first of all, emotionally and psychologically figure that out, and like, okay, I'm here now. You got to, work on that stuff, and you put that in a box. And then also you got to figure out how to play with your new team. So there's a lot going on. It's physical, mental, everything. And so it took me a little while to figure it out. And then everything that we heard about Denny from, fans of Washington, people that work for Washington, his teammates, his coaching staff, we got to see it. And we're continuing to see it. And he's just a force out there. And you're right. He really he sets that tone, and everyone kind of follows suit. And it changes the speed, the pace of the game, everything. And he's at his, as Michael Holton would say, he's at peace with his game right now. And he loves this team. He loves the coaching staff. He loves Portland. And he's at the spot where he wanted to get to. And he said he was going to be patient with himself at the beginning of the season. He said to us, the media, I'm not playing the level I know I can. I'm going to get there. And by golly, he's gotten there.
It's funny. You mentioned Donovan Clingan. Like, I was watching the game last night, and it just felt like he was having a good game. And after it was all said and done, I was looking at some of the numbers. I was like, damn, Donovan, 15 points, 9 rebounds. But what I love the most is he had 6 assists. Like, he was showcasing, and I've heard some other players talk about this, but underrated, very good passer. Like, he was on point with his passes last night. And, just kind of giving you a taste of, his all-around game, which is pretty exciting. I
completely agree. Yeah, I was looking at the box score, waiting for coach's post-game press conference, and I felt the same way. I'm like, Donovan was out there. He's fiery. He was kind of, getting after it, and you could see he's got that edge to him, which I love. I love that about him. He's a winner. And looking at the box score, I'm like, yeah, wow, goodness, he really did do a little bit of everything. And Coach said that in the past too, Chad, that he's an underrated passer. And with all of his length, and you see him down low, and he's a great rebounder, but he can see a lot of the floor too. That comes with that height, and he's really spot on with it. He's always looking for his teammates, for guys, they're going downhill. He's looking for them to cut. He's aware. He's very aware, and that's you don't always see that with the big man, but he's a passer and he's a big man, and that's a wonderful combination.
We're talking with Brooke Olzadam of the Trailblazers here on the Rip City Drive. All right, I've been wanting to do this with you all day. So the 5 key young guys, I'm going to give you each player, and then you give me something quick that you know about them or how you would describe them based on what you've learned about them this year. We'll start with Scoot Henderson.
Hard worker, man, and wise above his years. He's like an old soul. He loves the game. He is a student of the game, and he wants to improve always. And he is always even keel. We talk about this a lot. If he has an amazing game, He's the same Scoot. Like, man, I could have done a little bit. He always says, well, I could have done this better. If he has an okay game or one he's not pleased with, he's still the same guy. I'll get back out there next game and improve. So just a student of the game.
That's good. I like that old soul to describe Scoot. What about Shaden?
Shaden, he was playing. He had that great game, and he continued to, on the road, just going out there. He wants to improve, and he's aware of things that the coaching staff is asking of him. He's Shaden's out there, and he's funny because he is just, at the same time, he doesn't seem aware of his surroundings, but he is very aware of his surroundings. I don't know if that makes sense, but someone that's around him a lot, I think that they would agree with me. He knows where all the cameras are, but he says he doesn't want to be on the camera, but he knows where they are. He knows more than he's letting on. I'll say that.
Have you ever thought, man, I should check and see if he has a pulse when you're interviewing after a game, because he's always so calm and collect? I'm like, are you alive? Are you breathing? Like, that's how cool he is.
He is, and he's like that with everybody, and that's just the way he is. It takes a lot to get him, not get him going, but with an interview, you really have to make sure, like, you're asking things that make him think, because you got to work hard with Shaden. I'm fine with that. I enjoy it. It's a challenge because he's funny. He's great when you get him in an interview. He's kind of like, where am I? Last game we had an interview, and I'm like, okay, I'm here with Shaden Sharp, and he was looking the other direction. I'd be like, Shaden, over here, over here. But no,
awesome.
he's that same way at all times. And every once in a while, he'll on the floor get into it with someone, or show a little emotion, and Chauncey loves that when he does that. But for the most part, man, that guy is even kills.
All right, Tamani Kamara.
Edge. I love it. He is a nuisance to other teams, and that's his favorite thing to do. He enjoys it thoroughly, and he's a competitor. You talk about Denny being the straw that stirs the drink, and Tumani's the other straw. Let's say there's two straws in there, because he sets the tone too with the way he's the tenacious defense, and he's just all over everybody, getting into him. People they can't stand it. I love it. He loves it. Like, you can see, he enjoys it so much. He gets so much out of stopping someone, picking their pocket, just annoying the heck out of them. And in real life, he's about the sweetest, nicest, kindest soul there is.
All right, what about Donovan Clingan?
Yeah, I said it, about last night too. Fiery. He's a competitor. Like, he won back-to-back national titles. He likes that. He likes to be a winner. That's what he's used to. So he gets out there, and he's the hardest on himself. I did a story on this a couple games ago. His dad was on the road. Bill, great guy. And Bill said, I've told him, with your height, before anything, you need to make sure you're in the right position. Be in the right position. That's the number one thing you got to do. And I said, oh, did you get after him about that in high school? He's like, oh, I'm yelling from the stands, and he was 5 years old. Like, from the time he started playing basketball, I'm like, get in position. So you can tell when Donovan maybe wasn't in position, and he's so mad at himself. And we joked, like, you can hear his dad, Bill, going, get in position. So he's the hardest on himself. He wants to play at the level he knows he can, and he holds himself to a high standard.
That's terrific. Finally, Denny Avdia. We've talked about him, but how would you describe him to someone that doesn't know him that well?
Wonderful. Just in a nutshell, wonderful as a player, as a guy. He's so great with us, the media. He's so smart. He's really just a thoughtful guy. He cares. He's saying hello to everybody. He is really happy, as I mentioned earlier, in the place that he's at right now with this team, in his role with it. He loves it. And I've just never seen someone that can completely change the speed and pace of a game individually. He's a one-man fast break, and he will go at anyone. He's fearless. Denny Avdia is fearless.
All right, I want to talk to you about this women's summit that you have coming up on the 13th. It's going to be at the Ritz-Carlton, and from my understanding, you're going to have some other leaders from around the Northwest who have been involved in sports, and you're talking about the importance of empowering women to really go out and pursue what has been a male-dominated industry. I can speak to that because I've been a part of it for a long time like you have. But I think this is important, Brooke, because from what I try to do now, and I talk to youngsters who have an interest in broadcasting, and my message to the young ladies out there is like, hey, there's never been a better time than now. If you have a desire to broadcast, if you want to be involved in sports, if you want to work with the team, now is the time, because I believe people and these organizations are more open to bringing in a more diverse work group to be able to give you a chance to do what you do. And so I'm excited that you're doing this, because I want young women to know that they have a chance to go out there and be whatever they want to be.
Oh, thank you. I completely agree. And, I've been doing this for a long time, and there have been, instances, things that I maybe at the early stages of my career that I'm like, gosh, is this for me? Can I handle all of this? And we have come so far. And I talk with women that have been in the industry as long as I have, longer, and some that are just getting into it. And I tell them, you're exactly right, Chad. Like, now is the time, and you have support. You have not only other women around you supporting you, but men supporting you in these roles. I've always felt so supported by the organization, by the Trailblazers, from everyone, from whether it's our president, Dwayne Hankins, all the way, to, get with Kevin, not get down to Kevin Calabro. That didn't make sense. You know what I mean? The
Yes.
same level that I'm at within our broadcast with Kevin Calabro and Lamar, our producers, directors. Every idea I have or thought is just as valued as anyone else's, as Kevin and Lamar's. We're all one team. I never feel like, because I really am the only, not female in our organization. We have a ton, and they're all accomplished and wonderful and amazing. But in our little broadcast group, I never feel like, oh man, I'm the only lady around here.
But you are.
I'm one of the group.
Right? You are the only female in the broadcast department. That's intriguing.
I am. In terms of on air, we have some on our crew, but other than that, and I've never, and that's the funny thing about it. Talking about it right now, I don't even see. I have to, talk about it to even remind myself that that's the case, because I don't feel lesser than, or I completely feel uplifted, and I want other women that are concerned about it or thinking about and they're very interested in getting sports. Maybe is it going to be difficult? You're right. Right now is the time, and I love that we're celebrating it all month. And this is the first sports summit, or women's summit, that we have done. The Trailblazers have done. They've been working very hard on it. It is sold out, which is amazing.
Oh, that's great.
But we're going to, it's great. 250 women are going to be in attendance. It's going to be awesome. As you mentioned, it's at the Ritz, and we have some amazing speakers. Nneka Ogwumike is our keynote, which I'm going to be doing a sit-down Q&A with her to kick off the event, and
good.
she is amazing. She's the president of the WNBA, and she's just amazing. She's done it all. She has every accolade you can ever imagine. She's MVP. She's done it all. She's played overseas as well. She plays for the Storm now. She was the first pick for LA, and she is incredible. And I've actually followed her career since she was at Stanford, back when I was doing running with the Pac, when it was the Pac-10, and so I'm excited personally. Like, I'm giddy about her coming, and so the fact that I get to have a Q&A with her and talk about her journey through the sports world and all that she has faced and overcome, and how far we have come, how far the W has come, and it's the perfect time now that Portland's getting a W team, and so this is an exciting year for Portland and women's sports and the entire state of Oregon. So I'm really excited for her. And then Dr. Courtney Watson from Portland Trailblazers is another one that's going to be talking. There's going to be a couple panels. So many amazing, accomplished women that I just can't wait to have them all in one room. It's going to be a very empowering day.
That's awesome. What are going to be some of the key themes or topics that will be discussed at the summit?
Absolutely. Well, the first one, the panel session, is elevating equity, mentorship, and progress. So talking about how far we've come, and always there are more steps to take. But I really love that they're talking about mentorship. That's something that I talk about all the time. In this area especially, like, my parents were teachers. They were in education. So I didn't have someone, that I could talk to, or someone that was in the business, if you will.
Yeah.
And so I was lucky enough to have a friend of a friend of a friend who knew Angie Mentink, who still works
she's
in
great.
Seattle.
Yeah, with the Mariners. Yeah.
She's wonderful with them. Yeah, with the Mariners. She's awesome. And so she was kind enough to meet with me. I'm right out of college, got my reel in hand. I'm 21 years old. I've worked in the industry in a way, because I worked at our station in college. That doesn't count, but I put in a lot of work as much as I could in college to help me be prepared for the real world. And when I met with her, I was green as could be, and I asked her a million questions. She was kind enough to help me get into Fox Sports Northwest at that time to do essentially intern work, which that was my step in, my foot in the door. And she just said to me, make sure, you pay it forward. And I've done the best of my ability. I think I'm doing a pretty good job. When women come to me and ask for a shadow at, Blazers game, or can we just sit and have coffee, I always say yes, always, because I remember, her telling me that. And I tell those women too, when you make it and you have other young women that come to you that have questions, want a mentor, it's so important to have one and then to be one. And so I'm really excited to talk about that. I will tell you a quick story, though. And I made it on my first job, was doing University of Washington basketball, football, and that led to the running with the Pac. And then I went down to LA, so I left Fox Sports to go do a national show. But Angie and I have kept into contact, and everyone there, we're still all friends. And she came to a Blazers game a couple of years ago with her family, and we were just chatting. And I was she was explaining to her sons, like, how I came in at 21, she helped me, and blah, 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 and now she's here with the Blazers. And she said, I've always wanted to tell you this, Brooke. I'm like, oh, no, what? She's like, remember how you came in and we had that dinner and you gave me your reel and you asked me to look at it, and then I, helped you get in? I was like, yeah. She goes, I never had the heart to tell you, but that reel was completely blank.
Uh-oh.
I was like, are you serious? She's like, yeah, I just based helping you get a job on our conversation, because there's
That's
nothing
so good.
This is back in the day where I had a DVD, and apparently I did not do the copy process correctly. But
you would have
anyways,
been mortified if she would have told you at the time. You would have fainted right there. I'm done.
I would have died. I would have been like, you know what? I'm going to go into pharmaceutical sales. This isn't for me. I'm out of here. I screwed up. But she was so kind and gracious. And, I've been a mentor to many young women, and it's really important in this business.
All right. I want to ask you this. What have you found, like, in your dating life, because you're a sports nut and you've got great sports knowledge, has that been a hindrance, or has it helped you when it comes to the other sex?
Oh, gosh. What's funny about that is it's been, I guess it hasn't been a hindrance, but I will say you sometimes wonder, if when the conversation starts with, tell me more about this guy. Tell me about this guy. I'm like, okay, well, are we here to, this feels weird.
They're mining you for information. Yeah. They want to know about Dame and everybody else. Yeah.
And I will not. Yeah. And I do not. That's that's Brooke's number one red flag. I'll tell you that right now. When it's only talking shop, like, okay, no, this is not it. This is, I do this.
I could see that happening too. It's, I could see how that would go down quickly. And you probably got the radar to pick up on that quickly too now.
Yes, but I will say it's fun just to talk sports with. I love when I'm in a group and there are other women in the group that know sports too. Like, that's always so fun. Where
they start dropping takes on you. That's awesome.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. They'll jump in and be like, so Denny, like, I see this about his game. I'm like, okay, you come sit by me. Let's chat. I love stuff like that. And our women, female Blazers fans are so knowledgeable. They know everything. They follow so closely. I've had so many conversations with women about the team where I'm like, man, you really are on it and you know everything. And I just love that about our fans. They have their hand on the pulse of the team and they watch everything. They know everything. It's pretty incredible.
Hey, Brooke, for you, after basketball, because I know you love hoops like I do, but what's your second favorite sport to watch or follow?
To watch or follow? Well, I do love football. I love watching football. I would say that.
Or like college or NFL? College or NFL?
Yeah, I was just going to say I love both. I root for the Seahawks just because, that makes sense. And college football, though, I really love the pomp and circumstance of it all. That was my first gig, was doing college football sideline and getting to go to all these universities around the
atmosphere.
And
the atmosphere and the unique traditions of each place. That's the best part about college football.
Absolutely. Like, I remember, like, TCU, I became, like, I love going there. I did a bunch of games there one season for some reason, like the package that we had at CBS. There was a bunch of TCU. I became really close with the coaching staff and the football ops, and I just love going there. And then you got, like, these smaller schools, Utah State. I loved all of it because they're all so different, and they have their traditions, and the fans, the students show up early. They have their own traditions. It's just so exciting. And the countdown to kick off, like, you're down on the sideline and the fans are going nuts. It's a beautiful day. I loved that. So that still sticks with me when I turn on a football game. And sometimes I remember being there, and working at them. And I'm like, oh, gosh, I know exactly what those people are feeling right now. So I do love watching college football. I'd say that's probably my number two.
All right. The other thing I was curious about, I remember one time when I was working down in San Francisco, we had Mike Ditka, former Chicago Bear coach, on the air. And the problem is he agreed to come on the show, but when we called him to do the interview, he was on the golf course, and you could tell that he was very irritated that we were trying to ask him questions when he was playing golf. It's like, Coach, you agreed to come on. You didn't have to if you were playing golf. But what's been what would you say in your career, what's the most challenging interview that you've done, either on the playing field or court or off the court? What's the most challenging interview you've had to work?
That is a great question. I'll tell you, the most scared I was Greg Popovich. I was like, I'm terrified of this.
This is what he did to me the first time I talked to him. This is at Moda Center after one of the Trailblazers Spurs games. And I'm standing down there in that narrow column between the media room and the visiting locker room. So it's real tight, as you know, down there. And I asked him a question, which was a legitimate question about the game. And he looked at me with the Popovich glare, and he said, "Why would you ask me that?" And then there was like 3 seconds of dead air. I'm about to fall over, die. And he goes, "I'm just messing with you." And then he answered the question. But he did. He's very intimidating.
Oh, very. He did the same thing to me, but he didn't say I was just kidding. He just looked at me like, "What?" And I'm like, I told myself, just do it. Ask a question. Just do it. Don't be scared. Because, you never know. Like, and he's waiting for someone to ask a question he doesn't like. It kind of feels like at times. So I really I researched this one question I was going to ask. I thought it was brilliant. And he looked at me and he's like, it was like 2 words. And he was just kind of like, no, moving on to the next. And I was like, well, honestly, I just wanted to ask it. That was a feat in itself for me, just to be able to do that. But another one that was, I wouldn't say intimidating, but I interviewed Dick Bennett, father of Tony Bennett, who, when he took the job with Washington State, their head basketball coach, and he is a very X's and O's basketball mind, first and foremost. And so he's very much so like, ask it like no fluffy ones. His son was when I interviewed him too, like he'd talk about anything. He was just so personable, and but with Dick Bennett, you had to know your stuff to talk to him, and I learned that quickly. And so I was very much buttoned up, ready with very specific questions for him, because he just talked X's and O's, and you had to know what you're talking about in terms of basketball if you're going to interview him. So I always made sure I was very much ready with specifics, facts, all the knowledge. But I've been really lucky. I've covered a bunch of different teams and had great coaches. Gary, it's funny, back to TCU, Gary Patterson.
I love Gary.
Oh, he's amazing. We still talk on the phone. It was something about like his wife's from Spokane, so that was like part of it. But he called me a couple months ago, and was talking. He's a singer too, and he's a musician. And he's like, "I'm going to send you this song I did with a friend of mine." And so I've just been really lucky that I've gotten great. I've been really lucky. They've been wonderful, and again, that kind of comes back to women in sports where they trust you. They know that you're going to know your stuff. I've only felt that. I know it's not always the case, but I feel very grateful that I've had wonderful interactions and have felt very respected by coaches from all over, from college football to the NBA.
Well, I tell you what, Brooke, I appreciate you coming on to talk about Women's History Month and the way the Trailblazers are supporting women for the month, which is terrific. I wish you the best at the event coming up at the Ritz-Carlton this week. Again, the reason why it's important that you're doing what you're doing is that, and I really believe this, is that there are young ladies out there who look up to you, Brooke Olzendam, and when you can encourage and speak words of life into them about what they want to do in their pursuit of sports and broadcasting, it means a lot to them, and you can make a difference, and you're doing that. And so I just want to say thank you. It's awesome.
Chad, thank you so much. I'll thank you too for being one of those supporters that, you're just having me on to talk about it right now is important. But whenever I see you, we obviously talk shop. We also talk about a lot of different things, and you value my opinion. And I thank you for always being a supporter in that way too. So
yeah.
it takes you guys as well. So I appreciate, and the entire media, everyone here in Portland is, we're all one big happy family, and I feel very supported by everyone, including the men in the business. So that goes a long way too. Thank you.
And yes, the Bill Walton jacket you wore on Sunday was badass. It was.
Oh my gosh, that was such. If I could, real quick, I know you're on up to it, but that was such an amazing night from beginning to end. I just got to give the Trailblazers a huge pat on the back for all the work they put into that. And if you saw my interview with Luke Walton, he said the same. He's like, the Blazers have been unreal. They, of course, built this around my visit here with the Pistons, and all the grandkids bringing the ball down. Oh, I cried. It was such a beautiful night, and I hope that the family felt the love and all the work that the organization put into it. It was just awesome from beginning. And the fans were so great. Everyone coming up to set, again, had a story about Bill. They brought some memorabilia. It was just it was one of my favorite nights I've ever had working at a Moda Center. It was wonderful. So thank you for the compliment on the coat. And the night itself was just a beautiful evening. Yeah,
credit to the franchise. I thought the execution was flawless, and I'm just glad I got to be a part of it on some level. It was terrific. Mm-hmm. Brooke Olzendam of your Trailblazers with us. All right, Brooke, enjoy your short rest and get ready for the Knicks tomorrow. I appreciate you coming on. You're great. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate you too, Chad. Thanks so much.
There you go. All right, so we just learned something there for you idiot guys out there. if you approach Brooke and you're trying to put the charm on, don't go right in on, hey, what about Dame? What about this guy? What about Scoot? If you do that, she's going to know right away you're an imposter and a fraud, all right? Don't be a dodo bird. We have to deal with enough dum-dums out there. She just laid the groundwork. Don't ask about the team, idiots. You could see some clown doing that, too. Oh, what do you think about Dame? And then some guy trying to give his hot take on the Trailblazers like a complete buffoon. All right, Rip City Drive. Big thanks to Brooke Olzendam. She is sensational. And I'll give one more plea for your help coming up next. event coming up at the All right, big thanks to Brooke Olzendam for joining the show. She's a rock star for the organization, obviously. And I just want to remind everyone, coming up this week, starting tomorrow, it will begin our coverage of the OSAA basketball tournament, both boys and girls, from Childs Center. Between Wednesday through Saturday, we're going to carry all 22 games. Your home of the OSAA is 620 Rip City Radio. All 22 games to be carried between tomorrow and Saturday, including the championship for both the boys and girls. So tune in, check it out. It's going to be awesome, and we're very happy to be a partner with the OSAA and have a chance to carry the games. Now, I'm encouraging you to join me in the fight against ALS and benefiting the ALS Northwest. It's important. There are people suffering that need our help, and we have a chance to step up and make a difference. 6 hours, 6 minutes, 28 seconds, and counting. It's going to end tonight, the raffle, at 11:59. You have a chance to jump on board. You have a chance to help out, and you can make a difference. So go to RipCityRadio.com and click on the icon. Scroll down to the bottom on the homepage. You'll find the icon for 50/50 raffle. Hit that, and it will take you to the page where you have the link to buy your tickets. You can get 400 raffle tickets for $100, 100 for 50, 25 for 25, or 5 for 10. And again, it doesn't matter how much you spend because every dollar counts, and we're going to help families by benefiting ALS Northwest because they bridge the gap for these families of what insurance does not cover. And it's very important. And as I mentioned before, the starting number on a powered wheelchair is $80,000. It's absurd. And the amount of difficulty that goes into caring for those with ALS is extreme. And so we have a chance to be a part of something special. So please, between now and 11:59 tonight, buy your tickets. Go to RipCityRadio.com, scroll down, hit the 50/50 icon for ALS, and buy your tickets, and you can be a part of it. We'll announce the winner tomorrow, but we still have over 6 hours remaining. Jump on board and be a part of it. And I appreciate each and every one of you for your generosity. Thank you. Let's make this as good as we possibly can. RipCityRadio.com, scroll down, hit the 50/50 icon, and buy your tickets. 400 tickets for 100, 100 tickets for 50, 25 for 25, or 5 for 10. All right, let's do it. Benefit ALS Northwest. I will talk to you tomorrow, my friends.